The maze fight in Hook Coast. While by no means the hardest fight in the game, is quite easily one of, if not the most specific fight in the speedrun in regards to the strategy behind it. Let me preface by saying that I can only offer input on what has worked for me and impart my experiences onto you. There are some things I cannot explain with concrete evidence in this game, and certain portions of this fight are among these things. The fight itself, though, is nothing massively complex. Maze's toolkit is a set of offensive and defensive spells that include Inflame, Lightning, that Hob Orb thing, Heal Life, and Physical Shield. If you don't stagger him well in close proximity, he will attempt to apply Physical Shield, which will last for slightly over 12 seconds, with additional invincibility frames following it. Also, while in close proximity, he will use Inflame. Outside of melee range, he can use Lightning, and at considerable distances, he will use the Hob Orb. The strategy for the most optimal time against Maze can be essentially boiled down as thus. It is broken up into phases which determine Maze's location, which are themselves determined by specific health thresholds. There are 5 phases in total as shown here. Optimally, only 3 of them should matter, as the perfect strategy skips the 2nd and 4th phases. How does one go about skipping these phases? Well, there are some necessary experience upgrades for the strategy to work, as well as the Solus Greatsword, as we need to do not just enough damage, but more than enough damage in order to skip phases. Upgrades you should have by this point in the run that are absolutely mandatory include Max Physique, Max Force Push, Max Multi-Strike, Berserk 3, and Max Magic Power. There are upgrades for safety and backup strategies you should also already have by this point in the run, and these include Master Longbow, Max Accuracy, Max Inflame, Max Multi-Arrow. And of course, while it's not actually necessary, but still a nice comfy cushion to have, is Physical Shield rank 3. An important thing to note, while not necessarily something to focus on in the moment, is the 24-second duration of Berserk 3. You will need to go through at least 2 Berserk cycles in this fight. Have Physical Shield and Multi-Strike already applied before the cutscene starts. After skipping it, immediately go into Berserk, cancel the animation, and unsheath your sword. The initiating hitbox of entering Berserk will knock Maze down, and he will stand back up. You want to wait to swing until you see he is just getting back onto his feet, not after he's already done so. This lays down the foundation for the phase skipping, as for some reason, this allows the full damage of Max Physique, Max Multi-Strike, and Berserk 3 to take effect. Hitting him when he's already standing doesn't allow the full damage to be taken for some reason. If done properly, his health will be at this threshold, which will force him to teleport to the 2nd phase location and then move on to the 3rd. If his health isn't at this threshold, you can use Inflame as needed to bring it there. Have Multi-Strike ready, and again, you want to knock him down to set up for a phase skip, only this time you'll be using Force Push. Wait for him to at least start throwing a Hob Orb before closing in and force pushing him. If you approach him before he begins to throw a Hob Orb at you, he will most likely throw up Physical Shield. As with Phase 1, swing your sword as he's standing up. This attack should bring his health point to the 5th phase breakpoint, forcing him to teleport away from the lighthouse as soon as he gets there. Again, if you didn't inflict enough damage, Inflame can be used to reduce his health before he moves to the lighthouse. If you didn't need to use any safety Inflames, you have the ability, depending on your movement, to be where Maze will be in Phase 5, ready to deal the final Berserk Multi-Strike blow. There is a very tight window between his teleportation invincibility frames and him throwing Physical Shield up, so if you're not comfortable with this, you can maintain a safe distance and wait for a Hob Orb before rushing in and killing him. If you failed to skip the Lighthouse phase, you have a couple of options. Provided he hadn't applied Physical Shield, you can actually damage him from downstairs with Inflame and spare yourself a trip upstairs. If he has Physical Shield up, though, you will need to go upstairs. Since you'll be in such a close proximity, he will be using Inflame, which you can avoid very easily with Assassin Rush, as it grants a nice chunk of invulnerability frames. After he deactivates his shield, you might have to wait a brief moment to swing if you used Inflame just before it, as it also grants him invulnerability. You can skip his teleportation to Phase 5, although it's not easily done. Depending on your current position and what upgrades you have available to you, you can either go after him and finish him off, or use your bow and multi-arrow from up top. Doing the former is presumably fastest if you didn't go upstairs to push him to Phase 5. and you can force push him to hurry his death animation along. The latter stands to be at least a sufficient and viable way to end the fight, though you won't be able to skip his death animation. To conclude this video, I'll give some example fights at regular speed and detail the actions I take in them. Hopefully this video will help those who have seen the run, are interested in the run, or are learning the run to better understand this fight. I'm Clean Sarah, thanks for watching.